What is up, everybody? Welcome to the H.A.B podcast. This is episode 14, officially 14. Um,
Officially number 14.
yep, I'm sitting here in Tennessee right now, and I just gotta say it's pretty beautiful out here. Very beautiful. I love it here.
Yeah, not as flat as Indiana, right?
Right, and I got my 10-month-old son out here with me too. So we also got another special guest with us today, Kelsey Combs with us here. Before we get to that, let's go ahead and do our intro, Mike, and then we'll go ahead and get started.
Yeah, because we're just a couple guys
Living life,
being.
being hater.
Hey, you're being a hater?
You're being a hater.
Ass bitch,
Ass
right?
bitches. Yep. So
Yeah,
that's if you didn't
exactly.
know, cuz that's what our podcast stands for.
Okay.
Um,
He's
yeah.
like, oh God, what did I
She's
get
like, what did
myself
I get my?
into?
Yeah. I don't think she's ever watched an episode before this, so she is blind as a bat right now.
That's all right. More
Right,
entertaining.
right. Um, as I know Tyler talked to you a little bit. Sometimes we do cuss a little bit, but we don't really go too crazy. At least I don't. Tyler sometimes struggles, but we try to hold ourselves accountable.
I think
Especially
I
like when
even
we're
told her
talking about
that.
You just
It's
threw her
mostly me.
exactly.
the bus. Like, holy cow.
That's what we
Oh,
do.
I thought
Yeah.
that's what being a hater ass bitch is all
The
about.
thing is, if you
Um,
threw me under the bus, it's a pretty big bus. So
exactly.
right.
Yeah. Um, but no, like I said, we when we're talking about serious stuff, we definitely try to cool it down a little
Yeah.
bit, but just because we stay a little bit more mindful in those times, but we're talking about the Cubs or
Or it's
Marvel or
with
something like
yeah,
that. Sometimes we just get going,
we do. We just get
but
in a rant mode.
yeah, a little bit. Right, Tyler. What did you want to start with today?
Well, I'll just go ahead and like we kind of did with Owen 2 weeks ago. I'll just have you introduce yourself, give yourself a little bit of a bio, and then we'll definitely get into. Like I told you, we don't really have a set schedule on what we want to talk about. There's one question I do have for you right off the jump,
Okay.
and then but I'll let you introduce yourself first, and then there's something, and we'll just kind of let the conversation flow wherever it goes till we're done.
All righty.
So what we like
Well,
to do here, keep it chill.
all right. Well, I'm Kelsey Combs, as they shared. I'm a wife. I'm a mama of two boys. I'm a nurse. And for a while, I was an online health and fitness coach. I was in network marketing for about 6 years. I stepped back from that. And now I host an online free ministry that helps women develop discipline in their faith and their fitness journeys. And just helping them kind of review their whole body as a gift and a temple rather than utilizing fitness to get physical results, actually using it to have a catalyst for life area. So, my oldest son is Daxton. My youngest is John. We've had quite the Dax going through an autism diagnosis. So that's been something that we've relied on the Lord a lot in. Busy mom life, though. I mean, that may be a little bit boring, but that is my life. Busy mom life.
Um, no, that's actually perfect. The question I did have for you, so I did start your podcast last week. I started listening to it. Um, and something you said kind of got me thinking a little bit. So obviously, I am not the target for your podcast. I know you focus mostly on the moms and women in general,
Mm-hmm.
but I did find it obviously. I got about 5, 6 episodes in, so I did find it a little. I did found what you're, the stuff you were saying very fascinating. The question I had for you is, obviously I didn't know until I listened to your podcast that you're a child of divorce. So when did your parents get divorced?
I was around 12.
Okay. Um, so I was just something I think about is like I'm also a child of divorce. My parents got divorced, I think, before I was 2 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and that's something that's kind of shaped the way I view my marriage and stuff like that. Like going into it, even before Jenny and I had kids, I kind of told her like this is like if we do get married, this is gonna be it. Like no matter what we go through, we're always gonna find a way to get through it. And I said, especially if we have kids, because I'll never put my kids what I went through as a child divorce. Because I know your podcast, you said that your parents were very amicable. They're very friendly with each other still. It's just
Yeah.
they fell out of love or something like that. I'm assuming. So I was just the one. So that's my mindset. So I was this is just totally random, but is that something that you think you thought about as well? getting married and having kids? Is that something that you kind of thought about, like, hey, no matter what, or is maybe not a thought at all? It's something I was just curious about.
Well, honestly, the divorce was traumatizing just because I was in an age, a teenager age, and my parents, we, and my was 4 years younger. So at first there was a lot of anger, and then I kind of went into marriage quite fearful because like you said, I didn't want that for my future children. I didn't want that for my future spouse, for us to go through any of that. So at first I was a bit fearful. I think through that whole process, it gave me a lot of perspective on grace and just Christ-like love too, because my parents, yes, they have their differences. Yes, we've gone through a lot of struggles with all of that, and the backstory to that and the situation. But at the same point in time, they were still able to show up for us. They were still able to love the entire family, to make sure that they did that for my brother, so it didn't make things difficult. And Ethan and I have had that conversation often. His parents are still together. Um, and I think too, we go into marriages and we think that everything's just going to be hunky dory and all rainbows, right? Like, and everything's just going to be good all the time, especially like a couple years goes by and everything's really good. But that's not how marriage works. Like, you're going to have ups, you're going to have downs. And I think that helped me go into marriage knowing that there is going to be those curves. It's not always going to be an uphill positive experience. There's going to be struggle. So,
I'm sorry, like that was just something I thought about, like, cause I mean, for me personally too, like Jenny's parents are still together, so it's kind of mind blowing to see, like, oh, this is what it's like. Okay, now let me take some ideas from that and see what, like you said, like being together is just not. I think everybody hears you, buddy. Um, it's not about, like you said, it's not sunshine and rainbows all the time. Like me and Jenny have been struggle with a lot of stuff. We've struggled with a lot of things in almost our 10 years. We're coming up on 10 years married next Thursday, and so yeah, it's always just interesting for me to get like different perspectives on what people, especially being children, were, because like my parents were they kind of aren't still, and they're kind of, but I'm 31 years old, so they can't really fight over much anymore. But um, yeah, they did not like each other, and they probably still don't. So I think that had a really big effect on big effect on me and my viewpoint of, like, that's something I definitely do not want to happen. I
yeah.
never want to put my kids through that. So I mean, it is nice to. I mean, we know somebody that I think we all three know her, just had a divorce as well, and her the children's husband, or her and her children's father, like very friendly. And I was like, man, I have a lot of respect for that, because it's just
Mhm.
like, at the end of the day, you're two people and you help create life, and the fact that maybe you just don't like each other anymore or whatever, but you can at least keep it civil for the kids. That's what's the most important thing. So that was the random question I had, but definitely one of the me and Mike have been talking about trying to get you on too, you and Owen. We got Owen on last 2 weeks ago, mostly because obviously we're obviously all into fitness and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And Mike and I are kind of more into the extreme lifestyle fitness, I think is a good way to put it. He's more in the powerlifting, I'm in the bodybuilding. Those are two extreme lifestyles. It really is. Um, but like what I think what when we talk about all the time is what you and Owen do, especially, are like, especially with you working with women almost exclusively. It's very important. It's very important because fitness is huge. Fitness is huge for everybody, and we definitely appreciate like what you two are doing um, in the fitness world, just for the everyday kind of person. The example that came up 2 weeks ago was it Susan from accounting? That was our name for
Yeah,
the kind.
Susan from accounting.
Yeah, that was kind of our name, our name for the average person. So you just kind of want to talk about, uh, maybe just go into a little bit more, like what specifically, how you kind of got started with the Lace with Grace, maybe, or maybe even start with like the beach body thing.
Okay. So I actually started Beachbody as a client, in my pre-baby phase, and then when I had, um, I could just kind of grew a passion to, and I didn't really have the same mindset I do now when it comes to basing my journey on Christ and body the temple and making sure that I'm honoring Him in that way. it was much more so in that time of my life. It was much more so just trying to show people that it was possible, trying to show moms that it was possible to make fitness a part of their life and it not just be something that was astronomical and something that they couldn't even fathom of being able to do as a mom. Because I think a lot of times as a brand new mom, you're so overwhelmed that adding one more thing, you're like, oh, heck no, that's not like, and then the selfishness comes in and you start with that mindset. But so I kind of got a huge passion in Beachbody for about 5 or 6 years. But while I grew that business and while it began to be pretty successful, and I mean, there were weeks and with network marketing, with any kind of business that you start, you're going to be working a lot. If you're an entrepreneur, there's going to be there's going to be a lot of sacrifices along that road. And a lot of people don't realize how hard of work that actually is if you want to make it successful. And I know there's some people that hate on network marketing, but if you're the right person with the right personality and you're doing it for the right reasons, it can really be such a huge blessing and God can utilize it in such a massive way. But for me personally, I kind of have an addictive personality and I know that about myself. And I got very addicted to putting those other women and those other people before my family, putting those other women and those other people before my spouse, having a lot of pride in the fact that I was making an income and that it was going towards my family. But I am a big one on being very motivated by goals and motivated by achievements, motivated by accolades and titles. And I kind of allowed that to be my worth. And in that process, I actually went into a pretty deep depression and God was like, this needs to be let go. I don't care. I don't care how much money you are making. I don't care, the achievements that you've had. I don't care that this business is finally taking off. Like you've reached a prideful spot, and this needs to be let go because you've now allowed it to define you. And I don't mean to get. I'm sorry, I'm getting kind of deep here, but I got into a pretty deep depression. I was struggling with relationships. I'm not gonna lie, I was struggling in my marriage. I was just struggling in general. And then out of all of that, though, through counseling and some other stuff that we went through, um, my husband actually was like, listen, I know that this caused some issues with Beachbody with us, but what would you think about doing this for free? Doing the same thing you were doing with more boundaries on your time and your restriction of how much time you're spending on this and doing it for free, encouraging women, having accountability posts that you do, having a community, having a group, maybe even having a podcast, maybe even developing something on your own rather than being connected to a company or another title where they're constantly pushing stuff at you to try to make you feel as though you needed to do more and more. Because that's where I was at. I was constantly in a state of, I'm not doing enough. I'm not enough. I haven't reached that next goal. I haven't reached that next accolade. I haven't helped my family in this way. So I need to just keep working. In the process, it was slowly harming me. It was not helping me personally and mentally and emotionally. So I started Lace with Grace. And at first I balked at him. I was like, you want me to do everything I was doing, or maybe a little bit less, like time wise, but you want me to do the same thing, but you want me to do it for free? No, I'm not. Like, do you know how much time I spent on that? Do you know how much energy? I can't see myself doing that for free. And I said, plus, we need the income. Like, the income was good. So I balked at it for a little while, and then I argued with Christ about it for a little bit, and I finally was okay. I'll do this. So I started it up, and like it kind of like it initially it kind of like blew up, and I was surprised. Like so many people were really interested in it. So many people absolutely loved the idea. I provide free resources for women. I provide daily accountability for them in their journey. I don't handhold. That's one thing that I did do in my network marketing business is I was constantly feeling like I needed to be the one that changed them, but really that needed to be something that them and the Lord did, and that was between them, not me. Like I can provide the tools and resources, but I can't actually change people. And I think that's another area of struggle that I had in network marketing. So that's where Lace with Grace came about. Sorry, that was a very long-winded answer.
No, so I think um, a few things just to start out with. I think the last thing I relate to so much, one in my own personal life and two in my professional life, is for me like I'm a therapist for mental health and addictions.
Yeah.
S- So like I definitely relate to having those feelings of like I feel like I have to do everything possible to help this person change, but sometimes that leads to that other aspect of like I'm trying to change them for them instead of just giving them the tools and helping them change themselves and help almost kind of being like that guide for them. Um, and two, I think there's a lot of like really good things that you're doing from the stuff that I see on Facebook. Um, I mean, obviously a lot of the videos I see are you and your like crazy funny dances and just like saying that, just like just celebrating life and celebrating you and loving yourself.
Hmm.
And I don't and I'm definitely not calling you cringe by saying this, but like me and
No,
Tyler
it's
talk a lot
totally
about
okay.
like
My
cringe and what cringe looks like. Now, sometimes I'll be honest, I see him and I'm like, all right, that's pretty cringy, but like it's not because of how good and what the true context of it means and what you're trying to show.
yeah.
Um, and honestly, last week, what really like sparked us to be like, we got to get Kelsey on was we were talking with Owen, and I'd kind of shared even from my own personal journey the past, I don't know to say about the past like month or so, maybe even a little bit longer. Honestly, one of your videos actually like really changed the way that I view myself in my own life, my own like journey in general is kind of changing my mindset from like I hate myself so much that I want to be better, or like I want to like I don't know, essentially striving your own journey off of like hatred towards yourself and who you are, instead of like looking at it in a way that I love myself and God loves me enough for me to be the best version of who
Hmm.
I am and who I can be.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know, like I said, I'm not really like asking any questions here, but I just wanted to say
No,
like
that's
I think
fine.
a lot of what you do is really awesome
Oh, thank
and
you.
really, I don't know, empowering to honestly, it was geared towards the towards moms and women, but like even for myself, like some of the stuff that you've said has really like impacted me in a deep way.
That's awesome. I'm so glad that God's using it to impact others.
Tyler, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that your videos are great. I think that's one of the reasons
They're
why we,
they're they're
we do talk about
cringy.
them all the time a little bit.
They're
Because like
cringy.
one of the things that we have like done in the past is like cringe videos and stuff like that. But that word's never crossed my mind when I've ever seen your videos. Like I always like I can always appreciate like how you like kind of poke fun yourself as well sometimes, just being yourself exactly. And then that isn't also a good point, Mike, that you said about like you want to almost hate yourself because like let's just say you're trying to lose weight, for example, you hate the fact that you're being fat, but there's always a different perspective on looking at it, especially like yeah, like you always say like your body's a temple and stuff like that. So like imagine like this it's a building and let's just say it's made out of wood. Well, then there's nothing wrong with the building. It's just maybe the termites are, out there eating and stuff like that. So,
We lost her,
I think
Tyler.
we lost her. That makes
Yeah, we
sense.
did. Yeah, no, what you're saying makes a lot of sense.
So it's like you don't
We'll
hate the
definitely
house.
yeah, we'll
Was
definitely catch up to speed because like love is a strength thing, right? Like
hmm
the house is made out of wood. You're not going to try to make it stronger by lighting it on fire. That's what hatred is,
right.
right? Like love is that wood is starting to crumble. You're surrounding it with concrete or steel.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I mean, like though like I said, I brought up the cringe thing. Like I definitely don't think her videos are cringe, but
No.
sometimes like because it's just because of the empowerment behind it. Um,
Well, it's definitely a very good
yeah,
message.
I think her signal is kind of struggling a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, but
Hopefully we can get
no,
her back. Hopefully we can get her back
maybe we'll
on
get her
here.
back here. So we'll kind of just keep on talking and
Yeah.
let her kind of go from there. No, because I think, like I said, a lot of the stuff she does is so amazing.
Mhm.
Just because so many people just get pulled down and bogged down by so much crap in their life that like it's awesome that people like Kelsey and honestly like Owen, things like that. And honestly, like what we're trying to do with this podcast in general, just trying to help people because life is so tough, you know what I mean? Like having that Pat McAfee mindset of life is tough, like help you forget about the world for a little bit.
Hey, sorry guys, I
100%.
think I lost you for a second.
Oh,
No,
you're
that's
fine.
cool. Yeah, you're fine.
Uh, we just kept kind of talking about just like how awesome all the videos you do are, and
Mhm.
um, yeah, I mean, we didn't really talk about much
It's so
else.
funny, Mike, that you say how cringy they are because I know that they're cringy, but that's just my quirky personality. But my husband not knowing, so he doesn't have social media. And then him watching me do some of the things that I do, he's like, "You're not posting that, are you? Like, what are you doing right now?" And I'm like, "You
Yeah.
don't know the message behind it. It's cool. Like, it's just how I am." But he's sitting in the background too,
Right.
agreeing with you that it's super cringy. So it's just funny to hear you say that.
Well, well, that's why I was saying like that's one thing we did talk about when we lost you for a little bit was I did kind of want to like recant and say like I hope you don't think I'm saying you're
No,
cringy because you're
no,
not.
no.
It's just like it's like I just honestly like so this is something I did want to say real quick because I was thinking about it when we lost you is like we did with Owen Tyler. I think we have to officially make Kelsey part of the hater ass bitch fandom
Yep.
or not fandom family. I meant
Yes. Agreed.
because I love it. Honestly, I absolutely love it just because there's some of your best videos, honestly, from what I've seen. Because as I do see majority of them since we've been friends on Facebook for so long, um, is like the ones where you like post like comments on what people say or like saying that you look like a teenage boy and
Hmm.
That
like just all
is
this other stuff.
that's so funny because that's
And
exactly what I want to talk about on the pod. I wanted to bring this up at some point because I'm just like, you have so many hate comments. I feel like so many people just like hate on you for no reason.
You just kind of gotta laugh
and
at it and bring some joy out of it.
Man, that's like the
no, for sure.
teenage
Like I
boy
said, I
thing,
think it's
and
awesome.
no one cares about your
It's
faith and fitness. I'm like, dang, dude, it's like if you don't care that much, just
well,
keep scrolling up. Like you don't have to comment on her stuff. Like if you don't like it, just if there's a thing called scrolling, just keep doing it. Just go by it. If you don't like it, just that's a great thing with social media. You don't have to see what you don't want to see.
Or you can hit the block
but
button, or you can hit the
That
unfollow.
too.
but the thing that I appreciate the most is because that's how most people's approach, right? Is you can keep scrolling, you can block, you can unfriend, whatever. But one of my favorite Bible verses ever is Romans 12:21, which is, overcome evil with good and like don't fight fire with fire,
Hmm.
essentially. And I just love that majority of your videos when you do it, it's like most of the time it's like you doing a dance, like and talking about something along the lines of like biblically, like hate is good for the soul or whatever, because I can turn it to more empowering speech or
Hmm.
whatever. I don't know, but I think a lot of what you do is just so awesome. And just regards to that, so one of my biggest points in like doing therapy is I was like CBT, so like cognitive behavioral therapy, just helping people kind of like change the way they view themselves and the way that they cognitively believe the world to be.
Hmm.
And that's one of the biggest things that I try to teach them is like taking negative self-talk or negative outlooks on stuff and trying to actively reframe it into more positive and strength building self-talk and situations like that. Um, so I think it's awesome when people like you are out there just like trying to do that on social media just because the world is so based around social media nowadays. Um, and now like for you, is that like one of your main, I was gonna ask if that's one of her main things. I still got you muted, Taylor. I think you gotta come up with a cue. You gotta like move your headphone or
That's
something.
what I've been doing. I tried. I've pointed at the screen.
I saw
I
I
did
saw it the
this.
one time, but sometimes I
All
get
right, I'll
normal. I
just
kind of
do.
look to
I'll
the
do this
side or
going forward.
that's fine.
That way. Yeah.
Yeah,
So let's keep talking here.
but no, like I said, I think that's one thing that's really awesome. Like, is that obviously social media to some extent like doesn't necessarily benefit the world sometimes,
Yeah.
but I think when we do things or people like her and like Owen, the way that they go about
Yep.
their stuff I think really does help. Um, and just let alone too, just like I mean, they're like South Bend, Michiana is a small part of the world, obviously,
Mhm.
but it's still just like seeing people in our own area kind of trying to do things like that.
Mhm.
It's good to see. It kind of makes you feel hopeful about
Yeah.
going forward for people, for people like Noah and Natalie and I almost said Owen and Nolan.
Nolan. Well, like that's the thing too, is like it truly only takes one person. Because if like, like let's just say like Owen and Kelsey, like they impact one person, and then that person goes and impacts another person, then that person, it's like it's
Yeah, like
definitely a trickle down effect on where like, it all
so
started with just all you're doing is being positive and bringing positivity into somebody's life. Um,
what's that movie from the 90s?
from the '90s.
Yeah, it's the kid. He did a bunch of movies. I think he was in I can't think of it now, but essentially it's paying it forward. And like at the end of the movie, he winds up getting like bullied and killed or whatever.
What?
You know what I'm talking about?
What? I don't even know what you're
You know
talking.
what I'm talking about?
No, I don't know
Bro,
what movie you're talking
I'm
about,
looking it
dude.
up, bro. You are being a hater ass bitch and forgetting everything about life right now.
Because I've never seen a movie, bro. Are you crazy right now?
Because you know it, dude. You know this movie.
As soon as you say it, I might, but I
You're
don't.
gonna know it.
Man, we're definitely gonna have to get
Yeah,
Kelsey on.
it's literally called Pay It Forward with Haley Joel Osment.
Oh, bro, I've never seen that movie.
Get out of here,
Never
bro.
seen it, dude.
You're losing your brain.
I was never that big of a Haley Joel Osment fan, to be honest. Like,
I mean, me either, but like, bro,
bro, I've seen one movie with that
that's
kid in it, and
that's
that
literally
was Sixth Sense, bro.
get out of here, dude.
And now I've seen him in The Boys as a grown man.
I forgot he was in a few
Yeah,
episodes,
he was
right?
a superhero. Yeah, he got killed by Butcher.
I,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
so sorry, guys. I keep losing you. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, you're good.
No, you're completely fine.
Yeah, we're just killing time
Um,
on here until you get back on.
I'm sorry.
yeah, so we start talking about Paying It Forward, the Haley Joel Osment movie. Um, no, because essentially the question I was asking, um, like you in your obviously in your like journey and doing all of this, like are you active like is your ultimate goal like actively trying to help like cognitively change the way that we think about like the world around us? I don't know if you heard anything else that I said in my
I
whole
didn't.
rant,
I
but
didn't hear. I didn't hear any of that. I'm so sorry. Um,
okay, it's
I,
okay.
I do. I believe I'm. Yeah, I believe I'm trying to do that specifically. Like you guys know, I specifically work with women, and just trying to help them because I think there's just such a and you probably know this with fitness in general, there's just everything's just so physical result based, like they everyone just completely underrates everything else that goes on when it comes to fitness, how it can completely change your life in so many other ways. So I know that sounds cheesy and cliche, but I truly think that fitness can be a catalyst for so many things in your life, and I feel like it could be an ultimate game changer for people if they would allow it to be.
Well, so the first thing, things are cheesy and obvious because they're like good and they're actually meaningful. So just kind of wanted to say that to you. So I think sometimes like we think that what we're doing isn't what we're supposed to be doing or whatever because society, right, tells us that like we're supposed to do stuff like one way and this is the tried and true. And in reality, it's the stuff that hinders us from believing in ourselves to begin with. So just putting that
All
out
right,
there.
good deal.
Okay. So yeah, I was just gonna say I think about social media too, like fitness is like it's I think the biggest problem. All right, hold on. I think the biggest problem too with fitness industry nowadays, you have so many people on social media promoting basically just so much BS. And I know in your podcast too, you said something about biggest thing or one of the biggest things that people can't do is just compare themselves to other people. And I know this topic came up with Owen a couple weeks ago too, is um, something he said was like social media is just highlights. And when you think about social media as just highlights, I think that's when you can, definitely have people start changing their mindset towards, anything. Um, so like one of the questions I have for you too is like with social media, like do you have, I mean, is there a, trying to think of how I'm trying to say like, because you work with, is it exclusively moms or is it women? It's
it's
just women
it's
too,
women
right?
in general. Like I target moms just because I am a mom, but I work with a lot of, I mean, I work with women
Okay.
who are 60 and empty nesters or college age students, so it's a whole scale there.
Um, I mean, so is there when so like when you start working with somebody, do you ask like do you have like a questionnaire do you have them do or do you like sit them down one on one, kind of see what their goals are?
So when I was doing one-on-one health coaching, I did do that and it was more extensive. I have to be careful of that now because there's like over 800 women in this community. So I can't work one-on-one with them necessarily. Initially when they do join the group, I do ask them if there's any specific prayer requests that they have or what they're looking to get out of the group and how I can help them. And we kind of have that discussion, but I used to do a more intensive like questionnaire and just have them go through goals with me, have them go through very specific things. But again, because of my my personality, as I've shared, like my addictive personality of wanting to help, and I'm getting into that space again, I have to be careful because I can't, obviously one person can't help over 800 people individually. So it's more of a community based thing.
So so that's what I was trying to get into too. Is like, buddy, I'm sorry, I don't know what you want from me. Just eat your food, please. Um, do you have a lot of moms that are even women in general who come to you and it's like, hey, I want to look like this person or like does social media kind of drive a lot of their
Oh
like
my gosh, yes.
what they want to do or
Yes.
okay,
Yes. And
both positive and negative?
yes. I have to constantly remind people that, first of all, what we see on social, like you guys already know, is not the real deal. Like you're only seeing the highlights, you're only seeing certain angles, you're only seeing um it just it just frustrates me because you see these people that look this certain way, but their body is completely different than yours. Your body may not react the same way as theirs does to a program, to a nutrition plan that they're following, to certain supplements they're taking. Like, you're never going to look the exact same way as someone else. It's just not going to happen. And I have some women that get really frustrated in the fact that they're so focused on that they're not just looking at the daily habits on developing and becoming who God created them to be. They're trying to be someone else, and it's like, He didn't create you to be someone else. He created you to be you. So definitely have women that struggle with that for sure.
Um, yeah, crying baby over.
You're
I'm
all right.
sorry.
I keep losing connections. So.
So it did kind of break up a little bit when you were it did kind of break up a little bit when you were talking, Kelsey. But the gist that I got of it was essentially like God created you differently. You can't expect to have the same
Yeah,
results as
basically,
somebody
that's what I
else.
was saying. Yes. Yep.
Okay. Um, yeah, then I kind of like even for me, like I get caught up in that mindset too at times. Um, and I think once again, it gets so tough to like challenge yourself in that mindset. Um, so like for you, how do you continue to like in your own practice, how do you continue to help somebody like not get stuck in that?
Well, because you've got to. My main thing is making sure that they're basing their whole journey not on results, because, and you guys know, being in fitness, our results can come and go based on what season of life we're in, based on what kind of workout regimen we have, based on how our nutrition is, sickness, illness, injuries. All those things can cause havoc on your physical results, and they are so temporary. Our bodies are so temporary. So I try to help women continuously fix their eyes on just trying to honor their temple, just trying to have those daily habits that are going to help them get the results later on down the road. If they'll just focus on the daily habits, and they will put their foundation in that, and their foundation in honoring the Lord through honoring their temple, their joy is going to come from that. It's not going to no longer, like, it's not going to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Not inconsistency, but um, their joy is going to fluctuate. If it's constantly always being based on results, for instance, if my joy and my consistency and my discipline was based on just results, after I had my kiddos, like I would not continuously be disciplined because my body looked completely different than what it does now or what it did 15, 17 years ago. Like, you can't, if that's your motivator, you're not going to stay consistent. If that's your motivator, you're not going to stay disciplined in that. So I try to help change that mindset of focusing on a temporary thing, and focusing then on something that's going to be steadfast and permanent, which is Christ. Did that break up any for you, or did that go all the way through? Sorry.
No, that's actually
Okay.
perfect. So have you actually obviously your ministry and stuff like that is very important to you. It's basically the basis of um what you're the entire fitness thing that you're doing here. Have you actually has there anybody I don't know why I'm stumbling over words today, it's kind of making me mad. But
That's all right.
have you actually have you ever led anybody to Christ while doing this? Like has anybody came to you and said, I just don't know about it, but let me start working with you and then or has have they all come have known, been in the church and stuff like
Oh my
that. If
goodness.
that makes
I
sense.
I love this
I'm
question so
stumbling
much, and I'm
over
about to
some
get
words here.
fired up. I'm sorry. But this was the very clear answer from Christ that this was the right route for me to go rather than what I had done previously, because we have women who've been in Laced with Grace, and that's the name of my online community, who have literally never opened a Bible. They've never had a relationship with Christ. They don't know him. And then we've had people who've been on a walk with him for 60 years. Like, so the questions I get, not only do I get to help minister and guide and love on these women who are asking me these very hard questions, but it's actually growing my faith as well, because I'm having to dig in some, because I don't know the answer sometimes. I'm having to reach out to my mentors and my pastors and people that I look up to that are a little bit more sanctified in their journey with faith. Um, and it's absolutely beautiful. We have people who've came from very abusive situations. They've been homeless at times. They have, um, I get so pumped up about it. I just can't even explain to you some of the testimonies that come in, just from me hosting a faith and fitness free community, and these women, how they open up to me and I don't even know them. I'm like, Lord, this was exactly what you wanted, because this is touching people in ways that I didn't even think was possible. So yes, we have all, to answer your question, Tyler, yes, we have women that have never known the Lord and they've came to know the Lord. They've gotten their first Bible. We've had donors that have just sent me PayPal or Venmo money to buy Bibles for people in Lace with Grace community that want them but may not be able to afford them. So just stuff like that is just, I don't know, it's just freaking beautiful and I love it.
Um, I will say that's awesome to hear. That's actually that's really awesome. Also, you don't have to apologize about getting fired up. We love it. Um, it's definitely it's one of the parts that I really enjoy about your personality and stuff like that too. Is like, especially like listen, like I said, I listen to your podcast. I know I'm not the target audience, um, but it's definitely, I could definitely tell like how passionate you are about helping women, helping moms, and stuff like that. So if you want to get fired up on our podcast, please, by all means, don't let us. We're not here to hinder you. We definitely want to get the full Kelsey Combs experience.
Okay.
So yeah, we love it. We love it here. Trust me. I think me and Mike are both passionate people as well about what we believe in as well. So yeah, like I said, we love it here. So
See, and yeah, like I said, I just want to kind of speak up on that too. That I think it's awesome that like that you have brought people to Christ through that. Because I think one big part of like we were just talking about you and how passionate you are. I think that's one thing too that is just so awesome about what you do is you can tell how passionate and how much that you love what you do. And I think sometimes that's so lost. Um, just I mean, shoot, like even in churches, I feel like sometimes like that you can just kind of tell the pastor is just talking or
Mm-hmm.
just reading a Bible verse instead of like, hey man, like this is God and I'm getting fired
Yeah.
up because like just because of how beautiful life can be with that one being in your life. Just and I mean I'll speak for Tyler, I'll speak for Tyler here too, that like both of us are Christians and both of us do like love God and like we both feel like that part of our like every aspect of our life is like focused in that, though at times it may not seem that way, but we both definitely are very passionate about that as well. So like I definitely relate to that a lot. And it's something that me and him have pondered at times with, like, even honestly with the podcast, even with the name being what it is, about just like one, just trying to show people beauty of life and just show them like what love looks like. And I don't know, and I kind of keep going back into these moments of like just thanking you and saying how awesome you are. Um, but I don't know, but I don't know. Just everything you're doing is awesome. But for you, I mean, would you say the ultimate goal of your stuff and all of the Laced by Grace, right? Isn't that what it's called?
Laced with Grace.
Laced with Grace.
Oh,
I
please
can't
don't.
think of
I
what
don't
the
want to
title of
lose
your
you
stuff is
again.
called.
You're cutting in and out real bad. Can you
Laced
guys
with
still hear
Grace.
me?
Okay, that's what I thought it was.
Yep.
Would you say the ultimate goal is? Yeah, yeah, we still got you. Would you say your ultimate goal is to bring people to Christ, or would you say your ultimate goal is to help people grow in Christ?
So and this, again, this may sound corny to some people, but I truly believe that Christ placed a passion of fitness in me to be utilized for him. I truly believe that, yes, I get some of these women into this community and into this group, and I don't do it in like a schemy, weird way, but we get people into this community, and maybe they're just there for the fitness aspect, but they start to think about things faith-wise. They start to ask questions about God. They start to question certain things and just kind of are intrigued. And I really, truly think that he utilizes the fitness aspect to bring people to him through the messaging. And none of this is anything I'm doing. It's everything God is doing through me. That's one big thing that was completely different from my business to the ministry, was that in my business, it was all, well, I'm doing this. I've accomplished this. And I was totally taking the label, or the, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm struggling with my words too. I was totally taking away from God what he was actually doing in the business, and that it was actually his business, his money, his income, the way he was making impact through me. And it's completely switched with Lace with Grace. And honestly, I've seen, and yes, I mean, I have some apparel brand, and I have a planner that I have produced, but again, that's him doing work through me. But I'm not making the same kind of income I was with my business. But at the same point in time, I feel like I've gained more. I feel like there's more of an income through spiritual things, and the emotional effects of it, and what's been the impact that's been made. Does that make any sense? I don't know if I'm making any sense right now, but
No, you're making perfect sense because 'cause I think sometimes even as Christians, I think we lose the point that like God wants us to be proud of what we have accomplished, because otherwise, how can we truly give him the glory if we think that the things we've done aren't like in him or even like worthy of being celebrated, I guess is the right way I'm trying to
yeah.
say it. Um, and I definitely get that too, because like I said, just the path that I've gone in my life, I've definitely have changed different things that I thought God wanted me to do. Like originally, I thought I was supposed to be a pastor, and then going through my own personal struggles, and then finding my way into the mental health field and being a therapist. Like at times, I definitely lose that too, where it's like one, like having that imposter syndrome of like, what did I do in my life to deserve to ever try to
Mm-hmm.
help others? Instead of just sitting down and saying, um, God's got me in this position for a
Well, and
reason.
I don't mean to cut,
And to
sorry, I don't mean to
go
cut
ahead,
you off,
go ahead.
but I've had that moment too. And
No,
I always hear the Lord say, but it's not about you. That has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with me. It has everything to do with the impact that I'm making, and I'm utilizing you. And you're a blessing for that reason. So exactly what you just said, like he has a reason for why he's utilizing you. And we get in that imposter syndrome and thinking that we can't, like, kind of self-sabotage, like you said. What in the world did I do, this messed up human being? What did I do to deserve either this glory or this income or this impact? Like, but he's like, nah, it's not about you. It's about me. I'm just utilizing you. So,
no, I relate to that so much that like even like recently, which honestly is around the same time that I'm not even gonna lie. I think, like I said, it was literally your video that like made me like say yes to this opportunity. Like at work, we're gonna be starting an adolescent program, and they chose me to essentially be the director of that
oh,
program.
congrats.
And I routinely said no to it, mostly because thank you, I
Yeah.
appreciate it. So like I said, like even for that, like I kept saying no, or like I need to think about it. I need to think about it. And like I said, I was scrolling through Facebook, saw one of the videos that you would pretty much said, love yourself and accept what God's put in front of you. And at the same time, my dad's been fighting with the VA for the past like year, trying to get disability stuff rolled out. Literally like 30 seconds later, I get a text from my mom saying my dad got his disability like extended.
Oh,
So it was like, hey, bro, I'm giving you all these opportunities now. You've been rolling with the punches for 28 years. It's okay to say yes. I've given you all this stuff for a reason. It's okay to say yes to my
yeah,
goodness. Just because you feel like you're not worthy of it or you feel like you're being selfish. No, this is an opportunity I'm giving you to show you how much I love you. It's okay to
that's
say
awesome.
yes. It's okay to say yes to the good things. Yeah, so like I said, I think at times we get a little too caught up that we feel like we have to be a martyr because Jesus was, when it's like in reality, like Jesus accepted the
Mm-hmm.
good things too. Like people get Jesus' gifts and he accepted them. It's okay for us to accept God's gifts for our
Exactly. I love
life,
that. That's beautiful.
Yeah. Tyler, you got something?
Sorry, I'm just over here kind of struggling with my
He's
baby
doing
here.
dad life.
Dad life stuff over here right now. You guys saw me probably getting his bottle ready and stuff like that.
See, that's why you just get a dog, bro. He chills on the couch over there and just stares out the window.
Yeah, we all know how I feel about your dog. I was kidding. Um, yeah, real quick, let me get a cool spot over here. Yeah, I mean that's honestly something that I honestly struggle with too, because like you said, going back to what Mike said a little bit ago about believing in God and stuff like that, and that's something that I definitely struggle with. Is like obviously we're not perfect. Obviously we have a podcast that we cuss on and stuff like that. And I just feel like, and like some of the stuff that I've wanted to even say like in our church and stuff like that. It's like I just don't. I feel like people judge me just because like they know that I like cuss and do some stuff that's like that wouldn't be good in the church and stuff like that. So
But we're
that's
human.
something that
We're
I'm on the
human.
things that I right right. I constantly need like reminded of that kind of stuff too, because like it's just it's weird inside my head sometimes. But yeah, I think what you're doing is really really great. Obviously, um, I'm all jumbled right now. Sorry.
Hey,
You can mute me until I'll come back here. I'll come back in a
you're all
second.
right.
So Kelly, is there anything else like weighing on your heart that you feel like you want to talk
Oh
about?
gosh. I'm not gonna lie.
I know you
I'm
mentioned
not
you ate
gonna
that
lie. I'm kind
question.
of like Tyler. I was up for like 24 hours straight, so I'm not real super creative right now. I'm not gonna lie, but
That's okay. So in your professional life, right?
yes,
You're a
yep.
nurse or you're an NP?
I'm a nurse on
Yeah.
a medical surgical step down unit.
Okay, got you. So just some big dog stuff. Got you. Um, okay. I had a question for that, and then I lost it. We all three of us are doing great. Um, Tyler, you got some?
I think I'm losing you
Look
again.
at him like doing all the
I
cues.
am like you're muting me and stuff like that, and so I'm like I have to do all these hand motions over here. That's actually one I wanted to get into as well. Is I know you did take a step back from the nursing. What kind of went into that process and like obviously you went through how many years of medical school did you go through or years of
It
schooling?
was just
How many years
bachelor's.
did that take?
It was bachelor's.
Okay, okay. I mean, so how hard did you kind of? Okay, can you? This is not going well today. We're definitely gonna need a redo on this interview sometime. But no, like,
No, you're human. It
how,
shows you're human.
you're right,
It's
right,
all good.
right. So like, what kind of went into that decision of maybe taking a step back from the nursing? Because I think I remember reading a post where you said something about you were like very passionate about nursing. That's something that you were always interested in and stuff like that. So if you just want to talk about like what kind of went into that decision, and then um, how you kind of knew it was the right decision.
So when I first was pregnant with Daxon, so my oldest, my husband and I had made the decision that I was going to go part time. And then we started having some struggles. But Dax was a very, very, very colicky baby. And I went through a time, and I know you guys are men, so you may not understand this, but the postpartum depression crud of when you're like, what am I doing wrong? I've broken my child, and we weren't getting any sleep like at all. And it was impacting. Like that's a lot of stress. It's a lot of tension on a marriage, and it was kind of a struggle there. So then I went PRN, which just means as needed. So I would just pick up random shifts because we literally would have nights where he would be up for 5 to 7 hours throughout the night. Like he would not stop screaming. We had to be holding him. My husband was sitting in the shower with him some nights. Like it was just very difficult. Later on, we found out, and I don't know if this is what was going on then, but we found out he was autistic. We found out around 2 years old. And I had gone PRN, and then finally I had taken a step completely back after I had my second son, John. Um, and that was honestly, again, that was something that I allowed to define me and my worth. Like, It was an accomplishment that I had made going through nursing school. Like I really struggled through school, so I worked my tail off, like with everything I had. Like it was not something that I breezed through. I was just not. I've never been a good test taker. It was very difficult. So I was like, you and my husband and I went back and forth about it. He's like, listen, it's either your business or nursing. And I was way more passionate at the time about my business, because I had two small children, going away from them, going into a 12-hour shift, being treated like garbage sometimes by patients or by doctors. Like my mindset was just not in a good spot at that time. So it's not something I was like super freaking passionate about then. It's a little bit different now, as my kids have been older and I'm in a different phase of my life. But it was like a no-brainer. I'm like, okay, well, I'm taking the business opportunity then. Like it's getting to a point where it's growing anyway, so I'm just going to go that route. And then I left nursing. I left nursing for about 3 or 4 years. And my husband just recently started a franchise, which kind of is changing our whole family dynamic. So, and that's going to be taking off soon. So then I decided to go back to nursing because just our family story was changing a little bit. So was really excited actually to go back. I actually do really like to work. I am a hard worker and like just in general, it's kind of part of my personality. So I'm a weirdo, but I do like to work and I love my patients. And so that's kind of how the nursing thing, and I'm only part-time right now. I'm not full-time just because Daxton has multiple therapies he's got to be at each week. We don't have a ton of family support around us, and my other family that is here they're nurses as well, so their schedules are chaotic. So I just got to be available for the kiddos during the week, and then on weekends, on nights. That's what I do, Fridays and Saturday nights right now. I'm giving a lot of winded answers. I'm so sorry.
So, and I think that was one question.
No,
No,
you're
no, you're
getting good.
fine.
Okay.
It's perfect.
Your answers are amazing. Um, Tyler, is it letting you unmute yourself, by the
It
way?
is now. Yeah, I just figured that
Okay,
out.
cool. Just start doing
He's
that.
just over there
Perfect.
talking to himself.
So right. So that's one thing I think both of us we did kind of want to ask about, um, was one, obviously just the stigma surrounding
Mm-hmm.
autism. I think sometimes definitely is not a good one for sure.
Nope.
And I think we just lost her again, Tyler. Because then you were planning on asking her about her son and what it's like having a child with autism, correct?
Yep.
And then kind of providing some education on that.
Yep.
Okay,
100%.
so we'll definitely ask that when she gets back on. But no, I definitely get where she's going with like, because because I took a little sabbatical from the field and
Yeah.
tried selling insurance. I thought that would be better. And then it just did nothing but teach me like how passionate and how I was guided to
Yeah.
be in this field and
Yeah,
everything. So I get
I
that.
did forget you sold insurance for a hot minute.
Yeah, like 2 months,
Yeah.
and then I got my ass fired because I sucked.
Well, that's the thing too is like I never thought about like how like doctors and patients treat people.
Oh,
Like
you guys
I
have
guess
no
that could be
idea.
very
Yeah.
I would not go in on
I'm here.
that.
Oh, we got Kelsey back.
It'd be
There
too
she is.
it'd be
Found her.
too much. It would be too much for me. It'd be like the first time somebody says something crazy to me, I'd be like, "All right, dude, you're done."
Oh,
Like
don't lose him again. Come
Oh, we
on.
lost her again.
they were definitely going to get
Darn
her back on for
phone. I
sure.
have good service. What
Yeah,
is
we'll
going
get her back
on?
on another episode for sure because it's been great. I feel like I made her mad a couple times, but probably not.
I don't think so. You're just overthinking it.
But I get that way.
Yeah.
Um, but no, I think a lot of stuff she has talked about today has been great. That's definitely, I think, we could probably cut this one a little bit short just because we've been having some trouble with stuff.
Yeah.
I think honestly, just getting a little bit of education on um, being a mom with um, a child who struggles with autism. I think it'd be a great education piece for our listeners and providing some awareness and um, acknowledging how beautiful that can be,
Mhm.
and obviously the struggle that does cause. Because let's be honest about it, there's definitely stuff that brings. Um, yeah, we'll talk to her more about that if she can hop back on, obviously.
Yep. If not, we can always get her on for another episode, part two.
Oh, we'll have to.
100%.
So like I said, her and Owen are definitely part of the hater ass bitch family
Yep.
because both of them have definitely do things that are little hater ass bitches. Bitch ish. There you go. That bitches.
Yep. You got it back.
I'm
Oh, there she
sorry.
is.
I don't know
No,
what is
you're
going on.
It's
I
okay.
have good service. I don't know why it's doing that.
It's okay.
Keeps
no.
like kicking me
We
off.
have
Using this does take a toll on your bars.
Okay.
So even like if you have full service, like it will act like it's only got like one or two
Okay.
bars. Um, but the main question we kind of had for you, just because like I said, you had kind of shared about is it your oldest son or your youngest son
My
that struggles with
oldest.
autism?
My oldest. My oldest.
I lost her again. It's all right. I mean, we have had a really good discussion today.
yeah.
Um, so if she pops back on, honestly, we can ask her if she wants to
Continue in a
maybe
couple
cut.
weeks.
But yeah, I'll get her back on for sure.
I know she said that she had to do it outside because that's where she could be it'd be the most quiet spot.
Right. No, where she's at's been fine, and um, and I'm glad that Owen's episode didn't echo a whole lot. Like, 'cause, as we were recording, it definitely echoed.
Yeah.
Today, it's been doing just fine, especially with me like muting us periodically. Um, really, the only times it's echoed loud is when Nolan's been like really loud. So that's the only
He's gonna
thing.
make himself a star of the show because he's the
Oh,
baby.
for sure, because Nolan's the shit.
Who's the baby boy? Yeah, you.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
him over
There
Noah.
we are.
So sorry. What the heck? Okay. It's my oldest. I don't know if
No,
you
you're
guys caught
good. You don't
that.
have to apologize for
It's okay.
anything. Okay.
Okay, that's what I
Mm,
thought. So that was kind of one of the biggest things too that we wanted to talk about today was one, obviously just educating people on what that looks like and what that looks like as a mom. Um, so I'm sure this will probably be another long-winded, like very passionate
yeah.
speech, but you are definitely more than welcome to do
Okay.
that because like I said, I think the stigma that comes around that is just
100%.
so awful, and we would definitely love for you to help spread that light and spread that love.
Well, like, so being a mom in general obviously is kind of scary and overwhelming, and it's very joy filled. It's very much a blessing, but at the same time, just having, and I don't want to put the word normal out there, but just having kiddos that are healthy and they're developmentally where they need to be in general, that's difficult. But then you add autism in, and then you add family members or friends who are kind of denying it because they think that that's not what's going on because there's such a negative stigma about it. That's like not only a rejection to him, but it's also a rejection to us because we're just trying to figure out what's going on with him as his parents. We're trying to make sure he has everything he needs and that he's going to be where he needs to be later on in life. But that Daxton is, there's something about Dax, and I've shared about this on my social before, but there's something about him where you look at him, there's so much joy. Some people will look at him and pity him, and that breaks my heart because he is such a loving, passionate, sweet, energetic, little motivated kid. And he's just so happy and so joy filled. And they'll look at him when he's either stemming, which just means like he's a little bit overstimulated. Nervous system is central nervous system, and just emotions are a little bit overstimulated. So he'll do repetitive movements or repetitive words or noises, and he'll just keep doing that. And people will give looks and stuff. But if you look into his eyes, like he's just so happy and he's just so joy filled. And I wish more people could see that. But like concerning social events, concerning just communication with him, concerning family events, we've literally had to leave family Christmases and Thanksgivings because we can't get him to calm down and he's like being destructive. And there's no way, and as a mom, I can't fix that. Like that just, it about breaks my heart. And my husband has the same struggles. He's a little bit more patient and he's very logical thinking. I'm more emotional, but he's a very logical thinker, and he's a very fixer kind of guy too. Like he just wants to fix it, but we can't. Like there's nothing sometimes that we can do. So we've had him in multiple therapies, and it can be overwhelming, but at the same point in time, he just stands out to us. Like, and I'm not saying we favor him over John. I'm not saying that at all, but like, there's just something so special about him. And the stigma can be super negative, but these kids are honestly brilliant. Like, I mean, Dax can take any kind of electronic device and he'll show me up on it, like out of like just out of the water. Like, he just knows how stuff works. We always joke about how he's going to be like some crazy wise engineer someday, because he just, I don't know how to explain it. He's so smart, but the words just don't come out. That's where we're at right now with his autism. Our biggest struggle is his eating and his communication. We can't communicate with him real well. We know him well enough to be able to figure out what he wants, but anyone new, it's extremely overwhelming to them. They don't know what to do with him. And so that can be a huge frustration for him, because he knows what he wants to say. He just can't say it. So, and people don't realize with a 5-year-old and then also having a 3-year-old, it's just, at times it's very overwhelming. So I don't know if that answered your question at all, but
No, I think you answered it beautifully. Because like just for me, in my own opinion, just in general, when it comes to um like those with special needs or children or just people struggling with DDID, um, I I truly feel like those people have a superpower. That's just the way I think about it. Um, because like in reality, right, like they have such a deeper way of being able to access things in their brain. That's why they get overwhelmed and overstimulated. Um, like there was this comedian, Christopher Titus, who he's done some questionable things over the past few years. But I remember seeing this when I was like in middle school, and it was something that truly changed my life. Was he had pretty much talked about how a really good friend of his is also a comedian who struggles with autism and cerebral palsy, and how essentially it's what he referred to it was like they're not R worded. They almost have a superpower. And it's like growing up, I had a cousin who has Down syndrome, and just the level of love that she was able to connect with was something that like truly even today, and I think about her all the time because she passed away last February,
I'm sorry to hear
and
that.
I think about it all the time about like when I'm trying to be nice or love on someone, is I truly do think of like one, how would Jesus love this person, but two, how would Jesse love this
Yeah.
person? Because just anytime anybody walk in the room, just the level of love and joy that she would experience, even if it was somebody who she didn't really didn't know but had met once
Yeah.
before, was just so Christ-like essentially that like I don't know how like me personally could ever do that, though I know I probably should.
I can totally
Um,
see that and
so
relate.
yeah, so 'cause I know you kind of shared that with your son. Just the level of joy he always has in his eyes and his face just is astounding,
And it
and it's something that you see very
and
often.
it always frustrates me, and I think it's just a protective mom thing, but I don't like when people pity him. It's like, he's not broken. He he's just different. He's not broken. He's extremely strong. He's extremely smart. He probably knows how to work computers more than you do, and he's 5. So like, it just, I don't know, it breaks my heart when people just look at him and they just pity, or when we're out and about and there's major meltdowns happening and people just stare. It's like, I don't need that right now. I need you to ask me if I need help. Like, just come over and say, "Hey, would you like a hand?" Like, don't stare, don't judge. Like, I don't know. I get kind of frustrated with that, but and it's just, I understand that it's hard for people who don't have autistic children to get it. And they're not able to put themselves in your shoes sometimes, but it's definitely been a struggle, but it's been something too that's been really beautiful and helped us as parents realize that God gave us him for a reason. He obviously thought that we were gonna be the parents that Dax needed. So
There's a lot of like negative stigma around like everything like that. I'm not. Is there a certain like classification that autism has? Is it classified as like a, you know, I mean, I don't want to say like it's a bad thing, but like, is it classified as like a mental illness, or is it classified as like Like, what is it classified
I'd
as
say
in like the medical
I'd
community?
say more of like a developmental
Mental
struggle.
illness.
Like it just
Okay.
it's not.
Okay.
Yeah.
And honestly, autism, like Dax is pretty high functioning. The kiddos he goes to therapy with at ABA therapy every day for 8 hours a day. There are some kiddos that are way higher on the spectrum. That there is massive struggles there concerning a lot of things. Dax is really, really high functioning. We're just that communication piece is the biggest part that we're missing right now. As soon as that clicks, I mean, I really truly think he's not going to have much other struggle in life. Like I think that is just the thing that we are missing right now.
I also will say like I have noticed that like honestly, probably if you never told anybody that he had autism, or whatever, probably I don't think you can tell. Um, I've seen a lot of him in your videos and stuff like that, and just kind of being happy to see you kind of get in your way a little bit, like not really get in your way, but like it is like you're working out in the living room, and he want to be right there with you. So, um, I definitely never probably would have known that unless you said something. Um, but I will say like
And people,
when it comes to like stuff like that in general, like there's such like a negative. Go ahead, sorry.
no, you're fine.
I just will say like there's like I don't have honestly I'm not I don't have a child with anything like that, but I will say there's a guy I work with um who has a Down syndrome baby. She's like 3 years old. She's a little bit older than my daughter. And like one of the stories that he told me like blew my mind is that his wife goes to church all the time and stuff like that, and very religious, comes from a very religious family. And like one of the stories he told me almost like broke my heart because like she's an adorable little girl. I mean, obviously you can tell she has Down syndrome and stuff like that. And he's an older guy. The mom and he's about 47, and I think his wife is 44, 45. And so you can do the math there when they had her. And so like that's one of the reasons why they told her like they told them that like that's maybe one of the reasons why she has Down syndrome
Mm-hmm.
is because um being in their, two parents being in their 40s and stuff like that. But he told me a story that one time he picked his wife up from church, and like some of the older people came out and was like, it's your fault. It's your fault she has that problem." And he was just like, okay, like I already feel bad enough that I brought a baby who has, this, you know, you know, Down syndrome, uh, into the world. I feel bad enough. Now you're telling me it's my fault. Like that doesn't make like I'm worse of a person. And I stood there at work like people really said that to you? And he was like, yeah. And I'm like, you have no control over that. So like the best you can do, and like he even tells me all the time, he's like, honestly, like you can tell she has Down syndrome, but like the only thing with her is like if she can't really speak or like walk that well. So it's like, but everything else, she's a happy-go-lucky baby. She crawls around. Her develop, like you said, her development's a little farther behind than where she should be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, man, just the audacity of some people. Like, man, like you said, you struggle with like, when Dax goes, it has like meltdowns in the store. People just want to stop and stare because they want to instantly judge you
Mm-hmm.
because they think you can't control your child or nothing like that.
Yeah.
And it's just like, keep walking, mind your business.
Yeah.
Just mind your business. Like you have no idea what's going on over here.
Yeah. Well, and
Like it almost makes you feel like a bad person.
it's one thing for strangers in a store to judge you, but then when you've got people who are supposed to be super close to you and their family members, and then they kind of passive aggressively judge you and kind of say that it's your fault. Like, I mean, I had people saying stuff to me for months about how the fact I shouldn't have been running when I was pregnant. I shouldn't have been lifting weights when I was pregnant. I should have ate more, like constantly judging what I was putting into my body. When my OB, the doctor who was caring for me the whole entire time, said how healthy I was through my whole pregnancy and how well I took care of my body and my baby through my pregnancy. So like people just when they're uneducated, they just quickly go to judging, and it's just so sad to me.
That's actually a perfect like word for is uneducated too, because like you said, when they're uneducated, they think that they're educated,
Mm-hmm.
like they think they know everything.
Yeah.
Like you literally have no like you have control how to make a baby, but like you don't have control how the baby's gonna turn out. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it's like, how can you sit there and say to somebody, and especially like things like that, where if like people are judging you for like running or lifting weights, that's been scientifically proven to not do anything. So.
See, we lost her again,
I
and
know.
that's something too. I was gonna kind of bring up because you had asked about what it's classified as,
I'm
and
so sorry, guys. I
it
think I'm
is
losing you
it's in the
again.
DSM
I may not
five,
be able
which
to be
is a
on very much
psychiatric
longer.
condition. Um, and they, I think it was, I don't know how long ago it was, to be honest with you. I want to say it was in the past couple of years, um, that they reclassified autism and like Asperger's
Hmm.
they kind of combined them to autism spectrum disorder. And that's something I was going to kind of ask her just as another professional opinion, like whether she feels like, because they essentially did that to help destigmatize things.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it truly has or if it's helped or if it's not. And that's something I kind of want her opinion on. One as a professional, and
Right
two as a
on cue.
mom.
Right on cue. There we go.
Oh, Kelsey, oh my
I'm
goodness.
sorry. I
There
don't
she
know if I'm gonna be able
is.
to be on like a whole lot longer, guys, and I don't want to cut it short, but
No,
No, that's
that's okay. We can kind of finish. Honestly, let's ask this one last
okay.
question, Tyler,
yep.
and then we can kind of finish up
Okay.
for the day.
Yep.
Um, so I kind of wanted to go back and touch on because Tyler had asked about the diagnosis and all that kind of stuff and like what it's really classified as. And I was sharing with him that it is in the DSM-5 as a psychiatric disorder. And I kind of wanted your own because you're a professional as well. You're an RN, and I kind of wanted your opinion on because I don't remember how long ago it was, and it was the past year or two that they had kind of reclassified autism and like
Mm-hmm.
Asperger's into kind of just autism spectrum
Yeah.
disorder. And I know the idea behind that was to try to destigmatize and try to essentially, I don't know, try to help out that community. In your opinion, do you feel like one, it's done that to help destigmatize, or do you feel like it's made things worse?
I'm not, to be quite honest, like I try really hard not to focus on the negative aspect of it. I know that may sound kind of silly. Um, but if I go that route, if I think
Right.
about how
No, that's not
it
silly at all.
classifies him, like I can get kind of into a depression myself, and I don't, or worrisome for him for later on in life. So I try to stay as positive as possible with all of that. And I hope you can still hear me because you guys have completely froze again. I'm gonna lose you. Oh man. Still there. Did
Yeah,
you
we
get
still
any
got
of
you.
that? No.
The last thing I heard at least was you had shared you try not to focus on the negatives
Mm-hmm.
behind things, which I
Yeah.
definitely agree with. Like I said, I was kind of wondering about like your professional opinion and also just having the both sides of being a mom and
With
also
with
being an
him
RN.
with him only being 5, I don't think we've experienced so much of knowing if that has changed the way that stigma anymore. Does that make sense? Because he's only been diagnosed for a couple years, and I know that they did group it into all Asperger's and autism, like you said, the whole spectrum. But I haven't really noticed a huge difference quite yet, if it's helped or not helped, if that makes sense, with them grouping it together.
Yeah, I think I don't know if we lost her completely or not yet, but it's okay. We don't necessarily have to get an answer on that. So I think it's true in one aspect of like focusing on the negative probably doesn't necessarily help her.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of wondered just her own opinion on it. 'Cause I don't know, just for me, I feel like one, it does. I mean, just obviously outsider looking in. I mean, I have family members, but um, oh, do we get you back?
So maybe. Nope. All right.
Oh, she is. But no, honestly, if you want to shoot her a text, you can say we can
Yeah.
probably get her back on for another
I'll
episode.
just. Yeah. I'll let her know real quick here.
Um, but no, like I said, obviously I have family members who have autism and
She's actually
close
messaging me right
friends
now.
who I have close friends in that area, um, who want to work in that field and also just people who have kids in that and all that. But uh, I feel like I mean, it helps us it helps us diagnose at
Yeah.
least. It helps us get aware of whether somebody might have those needs.
Hmm.
But like I feel like sometimes people start to kind of look at it as like the new ADHD that everybody's on the spectrum. when it's like people act like the spectrum is this like huge ladder that everybody could fit into, when in reality it's not. Um, and then once again, it just goes back to the education piece. And like honestly, not everybody needs to go buy a DSM-5,
Right.
but like people act like this whole book should be autism spectrum disorder, when in reality, like 2 pages of this thing is autism spectrum disorder, which is the same for almost every diagnosis. Is about a page and a half
Yeah.
to 2 pages. So, like I said, just educate yourself, people. I think it's the biggest piece
Yeah.
that she's brought up, and I agree with it, and it sounds like you do as well. But
Yeah, for me personally, it's just something that like obviously I would consider myself uneducated on, and that's I mean, and obviously not having being a dad of what the normal society would consider normal children, um, that I know of for sure now. I don't have that experience on handling that kind of stuff, so that's why I kind of
yeah,
wanted to ask. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to ask her too, because I definitely want to be educated myself. Obviously, like I said, I'm not
yeah,
educated enough to even talk on the subject, so that's why I was like, I'm gonna let her talk and back off that one because
yeah. And like I said, and I think too, just even acknowledging that, because like you would ask, like I said, I think honestly, I was pretty impressed that you would ask that question about just like, is it a mental health thing? Is it like, what is it?
right.
And
I was hoping that
truth
was
be
not.
told,
I was hoping that would come off as like because in my head I was like, this could be
no,
taken so wrong. Like in my head, that's why in my
no.
head I was like, this could be taken so bad.
Like I
But I'm
said,
just
bro,
like,
this is the golden tool and the golden rule of how to diagnose.
yeah,
And autism spectrum disorder is in here, and obviously there's a new updated DSM-5 TR version 2 or whatever. But I've got the original copy. It's still mostly the same. Um, like I said, I just think truly we have to recognize as a society it's a psychiatric disorder. It's
yeah,
not a behavioral thing. It's not people are just like, oh, that kid just needs to get his ass kicked. Like, what is that going to do to even Noah? You know what I'm
right,
saying? A kid who does not have the struggles in that substance abuse. Kid does not have struggles in the DDID or special needs.
yeah,
Like even for Noah, like what is a kick in the ass truly going to do besides make him scared of you,
right,
or scared of ever doing that behavior again? When in reality, that doesn't help us learn anything,
right.
either about Noah or Noah learning how to control his own emotions, control his own behaviors.
Right.
But another good episode, Tyler. Even though obviously we had our technical difficulties,
Yep.
but I'm still so thankful we got Kelsey on.
Yeah, no,
Um,
she did kind of hear no one going off here. She just messaged me too and said she hopes that we can still use it. Definitely, I think there's some good stuff in there.
oh, we'll still post this for
Definitely gonna
sure.
post it. I'll definitely gonna clip it for sure. Um, like I said, we'll definitely work to get her on.
Oh, we'll for sure have to get her on again because, like I said,
100%.
um, I don't know, bro. Like, I know we've talked about this a little bit too, like just how awesome it is that, like, now this is 2 episodes in a row. We've had 2 people who are local, 2 people that we literally like kind of grew up with
Yep.
and went to high school with, that
Yep.
are doing amazing things for just society and our community. Um, so I think it's awesome, man, and we'll definitely continue going forward, and we'll definitely post this episode. Um, but I don't know. Thank you, Kelsey. I
Yeah.
thought you shared a lot of really good stuff.
Yep.
Um, honestly, I think most of the good conversation came when we were talking about her journey with God and her own like hopes of what she's doing.
Oh, 100%.
Um, but even further than that, I mean, like even the stuff about her son, her career. You can hear most of it. You can catch most of it. So yeah, that's okay
Yep.
with me if we post it.
Yeah. Gonna be
We'll definitely
posted.
get her
Gonna
back on.
clip what I can. Post it to our Instagram. Um. Yeah.
Um, and then I also want to make a final statement. Fuck Jacob Fatu.
Jacob Fatu.
Jacob Fatu. He's a professional wrestler. He's part of the Rock's family.
Mhm.
Uh, there's word coming out that he is a scammer and he's stealing money from local federations. So he's a piece of shit.
Oh, perfect.
He was supposed to wrestle last night at PWK,
Yeah,
and supposedly he didn't show up, and they paid him like 1,200 up front.
I'm changing a diaper while
Yeah,
we're doing the podcast here. It's how professional we are.
yeah,
Um,
almost as professional as Jacob Fatu.
right. I did see that you posted something about that, and I'm like, what the hell is
Yeah,
this about?
and then they another company from Wisconsin that's like a charity that was doing like a charity wrestling event also stole a bunch of money from them.
Wow.
And that charity was Jake's Network of Hope.
Okay, well, if you're in the wrestling world, do not use that guy.
Yeah, saying Jake's Network of Hope is um essentially essentially help caregivers for children who are sick and ill. Um, so fuck that guy.
All right. I will say, just real quick, got to see our boy Pete Crow Armstrong today up in here in Tennessee. Just
Yeah, you
real,
did.
yep. He's a dog. Two pitch, second pitch in, home run. So that was dope. Dude
He's the
thought
leadoff, isn't he?
he's lead off, playing left field right now. And so we were down 3-1 in the seventh inning. They came back, won 5-4. Smokies did, so that's pretty dope. Pretty dope experience. Come down and see a
Hell
double A
yeah.
affiliate. I'm definitely gonna try to make my way to Iowa this year now. So because I'm
Yeah, bro.
going,
Let's go to Iowa sometime this
I'm
summer.
down, dude, for real. Because I wanna.
It's
It's
not that far of a drive
it's only a 6 hour drive. So
to where they're at.
maybe I don't know, but it's a day's trip.
'Cause it's like 4 hours to Davenport.
All right, then let's do it.
Where they play in Des Moines, don't they?
I think so.
Okay, yeah, Des Moines is about 6 hours. That's where Kyle was. Kyle's
Yeah.
in like Omaha, Nebraska, which is like literally across the border from Des Moines.
Yeah, so definitely want to do that. But we'll go ahead and end it here then. That way we can. I know it's late on a Sunday. That's probably the why all we had all the technical difficulties too, because it was Sunday. This the
And
Lord
Kyle wanted us to rest.
the Lord day. It's the Lord's day, and he
Oh,
was like, "Nah,
Lord's
you're not doing
Day.
this podcast today." But we'll
For
go ahead and
sure.
end it here, buddy. Anything else you want to say?
No, just thanks Kelsey for coming on. We'll
Yep.
definitely get her back on.
Definitely get her on. I'll keep in contact with her. Keep in contact with
All right.
Owen. Definitely get them some t-shirts when they come out. Hopefully, we'll have some t-shirts coming out soon. Keep everybody on that, and we might be doing a giveaway for that as well. Let's go ahead and announce that now. Why not?
That's fine.
So we'll go ahead and here about an hour 20 in. We're doing the same exact thing we do with Owen, milking this last 10 minutes.
I know, right?
But
Um, but that's the thing too is obviously you can follow Tyler Instagram,
yep,
at Bodybuilding Dad 23. You can follow me
yep.
Instagram
Give Kelsey a follow. I'm not
Savage
sure of
Life for
her
Life.
exact Instagram right now. I know Lace with Grace is a podcast, especially if you're a woman listening to this podcast or a mom. Definitely check her out. I think she does some good stuff. I'm definitely trying to get Jenny involved with her as well. So sorry if you can hear that. And I'm gonna let y'all end on this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful view here. I'm gonna walk down here real quick.
How do you
But
spell her last name?
it's
Is it
her
C or K?
Combs, Combs, and I know her husband is
It's it's at Kelsey Marie Combs.
okay on Instagram.
Once again, I thought I followed her on Instagram. Guess I didn't.
Yep, follow her on Instagram. She does some really good stuff. Um, she does really good stuff on Facebook as well. And you can see the mountains back
Kelsey
there.
sent me a little voice message,
So
so I'm gonna play it on the podcast.
do it.
Hopefully, it's something that's like nice. Hold
You
on, I'm gonna
you
take my
guys
headphone
suck. I'm never coming on again.
off. Hold on. All right, can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, cool. I'm gonna mute you. That way it doesn't like echo.
Let you know how freaking sorry I am that I totally jacked that up by continuously not being connected. And like you said, I know you said the app kind of messes with your signal, but I had really good service, and typically we don't. So I was really hoping that we weren't going to have trouble with that. I I just feel really bad. I'm so sorry. But I hope you guys are able to utilize something from it. And I just wanted to thank you. I'll tell Tyler too over on Instagram. He was messaging earlier, but I just wanted to thank you guys so much for asking. It really means a lot. I've been on a couple other podcasts, and it's always such a blessing, and I really, really appreciate it.
Well,
That feels good to hear.
obviously, Kelsey, we freaking love you, man,
Yep.
and we're so happy you got to come on, even with the technical difficulties. It's completely fine. You know what, guys? Like you said earlier, multiple times to Tyler, when Tyler was kind of hating on himself. We're human. Technology is going to do what technology wants to do.
Yep.
Um, but we're so thankful for you, Kelsey, and we'll definitely have you back on. You're definitely part of the H.A.B family.
Yep.
So
He's now what, the second official member that we've
yeah, they
inducted.
are.
So
Yeah, Owen
and
and Kelsey,
Kelsey so far. So
like our hater ass bitch children.
yep. We will show you the way. But yeah, we'll go ahead and leave you guys here. We'll go ahead and leave you and love you. Hope you guys have a good week. I am traveling back home tomorrow morning to gonna check out. I know we're kind of milking this right now, but actually I'm going to the University of Tennessee. Check that out. I want to see that stadium, at least the outside of it. And then we're actually going to our first Bucky's tomorrow, so I'm actually pretty pumped.
Oh,
I'm
Bucky's
pretty,
is dope.
dude. I'm pretty freaking
I mean,
excited
I've
for it.
never been to one, but
Yeah, I've
I have
heard
been
it's
to
sick.
Wawa,
My
and I don't care. I don't think Bucky's can ever beat Wawa, but
nah, my in my
Wawa's pretty great.
my in-laws came down when they came down through Tennessee. They stopped at the one in Richmond, Kentucky, and they were like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "That's the one we're going to." So sweet.
Yeah,
I'm
dude, I need a
pumped.
vacation, bro. I
Yeah.
need a vacation.
So also,
Alex got a like a Hawaiian shirt from Bucky's.
yeah,
It has it's like literally a Hawaiian shirt, like normal Hawaiian shirt, but then it's got like little Bucky's
that's dope.
like symbols all over it. It's pretty dope.
And also this Thursday, me and my wife are celebrating 10 years anniversary wedding anniversary. So if you guys watch this podcast, I'm not sure when Mike's gonna post it, but just give us some love.
I'm trying to get it posted tonight, to be honest.
That let's ride. It's a vibe.
Broncos country.
It's a vibe.
It's a vibe.
It's a vibe. Let's
And with that, we
ride.
haven't talked about them in a couple episodes now, to be honest. We kind of did, but not really.
All right.
Once again, go follow SV
Yep.
Supplements,
Trent, Taylor,
Supplements,
Gabby, Mackenzie.
um, on the Instagrams.
Yep.
We're always doing giveaways. Still a little like butthurt I didn't win the Ninja Turtle stuff.
Dude, I was
Turtle,
hoping I would.
dude.
I would have shared it with you.
I probably honestly, I'm not even gonna lie. I probably never would have used them. I probably would have like had
That
them
would have
just
been collector's edition for
a
sure.
decoration
Yep, 100%.
because TMNT is the goat. Um, but go give them a follow. Go see them. They're on Cleveland Road.
Yep. And
Uh,
make sure you tell them HAB sent you. Just make sure you tell them that.
HAB podcast.
Yep,
Mike and
make sure you
Tyler.
tell them that.
Tyler.
The HAB podcast.
Tyler. That's you.
And you're Mike.
You're Tyler. That's me. I'm Mike.
Yep.
But no, and then obviously if you want to go over to Pro Wrestling Tees, look up Michael Shaw. You can buy a t-shirt. Honestly, I kind of want to put our HAB podcast stuff on there if I can.
Do it. Bet.
Just that way they have a place they can go to buy them
All right.
if they want to.
Figure that out.
But we'll figure that out as time goes.
Actually, I need to call. I need to call you after we get off here. So let's just end this now. But you
Right.
just made me think about
Well,
something.
we love you guys.
Yep.
Keep
Love you
listening.
guys.
Keep sharing.
Love you, horse.
Tell a friend, be a friend.
Yep.
Love you. Bye.